This slide deals with the references. The different type of references you can have are relative, absolute, and partial absolute. This is the typical syntax for a relative reference. So just the letter that stands for the column address and the number that stands for the row address. When you write a formula inside a cell and you drag down, you copy the formula, Excel automatically updates these references. If you don't want Excel to update automatically references, you have to use the absolute reference. The syntax is the one you see here. So you insert the dollar symbol before the letter and the dollar symbol before the number, so that you lock the row address, and the column address. It's possible also to have a partial absolute reference, as you can see here. So you use the dollar symbol only for the column address, only for the row address. You can switch between among the different reference types just by typing F4. Another way to refer to a cell is using the name that you can see in the name box. You can choose your own name in the name box for the cell, and pay attention when you choose this name that you have to select a name without spaces. You have to pay attention that this name has to start with the letter, and in general try to avoid possible ambiguities. This slide deals with the functions. In particular, the three different ways to insert a function inside your Excel worksheet is using the function library. And from here you can select from the different categories the function you need. You can use click the insert function button, or you can directly type the function name inside the cell. The syntax for using function in Excel is the one you see here. So you have always to start with the equal symbol. Then you have to type the name of the function, and between brackets the list of the function arguments separated by the list separator you have set in your environment. You have also an inline help for each function prototype that gives you all the information you need to use a function with also examples. It's possible also to use nested functions. It means that as argument for one function, you can use the output of another function. Here we have an example where we have the function whose name is function name1, and between brackets we have the arguments for the function name1. As the first argument for the function name1, we have the output of the function name2. Now let's switch to the next slide. Here we have an exercise dealing with mathematical operations. So we are going to practice the mathematical functions of Excel. In the same worksheet as before, where we have produced the series, we need to put in column D the squares of the values in column C. You have to write the formula in column D, and then you have to drag the formula. You are going to see that Excel updates the cell addresses automatically. Then another point of the exercise is to produce a series of numbers from 1 to 10 with step 0, 5 in column E. And then in column F, you need to compute the exponential of column E. In column G, the logarithm base 2 of column F. And then in column H, you have to produce the values of column G rounded to the nearest lower number with one decimal digit. Here you have a hint, so you have to use the round down to accomplish this point. And then you need also to use the round function and then round up function applied always to column G. And then you have to see the differences between the three, notice the differences between the three functions. Now, pause this video and try to solve this exercise by yourself. Then we are going to see the solution together. So please pause this video. Okay, the first point of the exercise is to compute the squares of the values in column C. So here in the first cell of column D, I enter equal, and then the value of a reference to the cell C1, this symbol to compute the squares, the power, and then 2. Then I drag the formula down to apply the formula to the whole column C. Another way to solve this exercise is using the function power. I'm going to show you here in column E. So in this case, I always insert a formula manually. I use the function power. So you can see also that Excel is suggesting you possible functions according to what you have just typed in the cell. I would like to use this one, power. Once you have selected it, also Excel suggests you the type of arguments you have to insert, and also the number of arguments you have to insert. In this case, the first argument is the number. In our case, is C1. The second argument is the power. As we want the squares of this number, I insert 2. Then I close the bracket. I drag the formula down to apply it to the whole column C. As you can see, have produced the same result we have in column D. Now I clear this column. Now in second point of the exercise, we need to produce a series of numbers from 1 to 10 with a step of 0, 5. So I write the first element of the list, which is 1. According to the step, the second element of the list is 1, 5. I select the two cells and then I drag down until I see 10. Okay, here I stop. Now in column F, according to the exercise, we need to compute the exponential of column E. So we use the function exp. Apply to the first element of column E. Then I need only to drag down the formula to apply it to the whole column E. So you can see the address is automatically updated. Now let's compute in column G the logarithm base 2 of column F. So the name of the function is log. First argument is the number, which is in our case F1. So I put a reference to the cell F1. The second argument is the base. In our case, as we are dealing with the logarithm base 2, I insert 2 as second argument. Now I drag down the formula to apply it to the whole column F. The other point of the exercise is to round the values in column G to the nearest lower number with one decimal digit. The text of the exercise suggests to you to use round down. So let's insert the function round down here. We need two arguments. The first one is the value to which you want to apply this function, which is G1. So I put a reference to the cell G1. The second argument is the number of digits. As we want to round to the nearest lower number with one decimal digit, I insert 1 as a second argument. Then I drag down to apply it to the whole column G. Here it is the result. Now, the exercise asks us also to apply round up to the column G, and then to compare the result with the function round down. So let's use the function round first. Applied to G. Again, the number of digits is 1, as we want to round to the nearest number with one decimal digit. I drag down to apply the formula to the whole column G. Now in column J, I use the function round up, applied to G1. Again, third argument is 1. Then I drag down the formula. So now let's compare the three different results we obtained with these three functions, rounding functions. So for example, here for this number 4,32, the function round down round the number to the nearest lower number with one decimal digit, which is 4,3. Round instead rounds this number to the nearest number with one decimal digit, which in this case is 4,32. Round up, round this number to the higher number with one decimal digit, which is 4,4. So now I switch to the next exercise. This slide deals with the absolute and relative references. So we have an exercise about this topic. We want to analyze the selling statistics of a company. Here we have a table. This company produces three different product types: product 1, product 2, and product 3. Then we have the number of units that this company has sold for each trimester. We have the first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, and fourth trimester. As first point of the exercise, we need to fill this table, the green part and the orange part, computing the total sold product units for each type and each period. So here we need to compute the total units sold for the first trimester, here for the second, and so on. And here you need to compute the total sold units for product 1, product 2, and product 3 for the whole year. Then we have other 2 points. We need to build two new tables with the same layout of this table. And then in the yellow cells, we need to insert a formula using the proper cell references. In this case, I mean relative reference and absolute reference, so that in the first table, in the yellow cells, for each product type, we need to compute for each the product type the selling percentage of each trimester compared to the total yearly sold units of each single product type. In the second table, with the same layout we see here, in the yellow cells, we need to compute for each trimester the selling percentage of each single product type compared to the total product units sold in each trimester. So now pause this video and try to solve this exercise by yourself. So please pause this video. Now let's see the solution together. So here in Excel, I've already produced the table we have in the slide, and then have copied twice the same table for the second and third point of the exercise. As first point of the exercise, we need to compute here in the green cells the total sold units for each trimester. So I use the formula sum here. So let me first enlarge a little bit the screen. Okay. So here I use the function sum applied to a range of cells, this one. So I want to compute the sum of these values so that I have the total sold units for the first trimester. So now if I want to apply this function to this, and this, I need to drag the formula to the right, and you see that the formula is applied to the right column. Now let's fill this part of the table. Here we need to compute the total sold units of product 1 in the whole year. So again I use the function sum applied to this cell range, and then I drag down the formula to apply this formula to the second product and to the third product. If you double click here, you can see that the references are automatically updated. Now let's solve the second point of the exercise. We need to fill this yellow area so that for each product type we have the selling percentage of each trimester compared to total yearly sold units of each single product type. So in this case, we need to compute a formula for one case, and then we have to write it inserting the right partial references so that we can just drag the formula to the right and down to apply it to the whole table. So now I insert the formula for the first case, this one. So first trimester product 1. In this case, I refer to the to the number of units that have been sold for product 1 in the first trimester, which is B2, divided by the total number of units for product 1 sold in the whole year, which is, this value is in F2, this one. And as we need to drag this formula to apply it for all the trimester and for all the products, I lock the column address of F2 using the dollar symbol in this way, and that's all. Then I can simply drag the formula to the right and down, and you see that now for each case the formula has references pointing to the right cells. You can double click to verify it. We can also, as here we are dealing with percentage numbers, we can select this area and click here to change the format of the cell. I also put some decimal digits. Now let's solve the last point of the exercise. In this case, for each trimester, we need to compute for each trimester the selling percentage of each single product type compared to the total product units sold in each trimester. Again, we need to insert a formula for one case, inserting the right partial references so that we can drag the formula to the right and down and to fill the whole table without typing this formula again. So I produce the formula for the first case, product 1, first trimester. And so in this case, again, we need the units sold the units of product 1 sold for the first trimester divided by, in this case, the total number of units produced in the first trimester, this number. Then I need to insert the dollar just before the row address of B5 to let me drag the formula to the right and down and fill the table without typing again the formula. Okay, now we can check again. If we double click here, we see that the formula has cell references, has the correct cell references. Also, for this case, we can change the cell format to percentage and also put some decimal digit numbers. And that's all for this exercise. Now let's go back to the presentation. This exercise deals with multiple sheet formulas. So let's see how it's possible to insert a formula that is referring to cells that are in different sheets. We need to open a new workbook, and in column A, insert a series of rates from 0% to 10% with a step of 1. Then we need to insert a random number from 0 to 1 in cell A1 of sheet 3. Then we need to insert 10,000 euro in cell C3 of sheet 2. And at the end, in column B of sheet 1, we need to insert this formula where we multiply cell C3 in sheet 2 by the rates in column A of sheet 1 and divide the results by the random number in cell A1 sheet 3. Some suggestions, hints: pay attention to cell addresses. We need to use the dollar to protect the address. And here it is suggested how to refer to cells that are in different sheets. So you have to use this syntax for the name of the sheet, exclamation point, and then the cell reference. So now try to solve this exercise by yourself and pause this video. So please pause this video. So now let's see the solution together. I open a new workbook. Then I increase a little bit size. In column A, we need to insert a series of rates from 0% to 10% with a step of 1. So I write the first element of the list, 0%. Second one is 1%. I select the two cells, I drag down until I see 10%. Now we need to insert a random number from 0 to 1 in cell A1 of sheet 3. Here I have only one sheet, so I produce two new sheets. And in the first cell A1 of sheet 3, I insert a random number from 0 to 1. For this, we can insert a random number using the function rand. Then we need to insert 10,000 euro in cell C3 of sheet 2. Here we can also change the cell format to currency euro. Now, last point of the exercise, we have to produce a formula in column B of sheet 1, where we multiply cell C3 in sheet 2 by the rates in column A of sheet 1, this one, and we divide the results by the random number in cell A1 of sheet 3. So let's write this formula. So we start always with the equal symbol. So we refer to the cell C3 in sheet 2 where we have 10,000 euro. So I use the right syntax, which is name of the sheet, exclamation point, cell reference C3. Then we multiply by the first element. First I produce the formula for the first case here, and then I am going to drag down the formula to apply it to the whole column. So now I refer to A1 of sheet 1. So here I don't need to specify the sheet because I'm already in sheet 1. Then we need to divide the result by the random number in cell A1 of sheet 3. So again, I write sheet 3, exclamation point, A1. Now we need to pay attention to the references and to protect these references with the dollar. In this case, we are going to drag down the formula, so we need to protect this reference and this reference. So here we can use the absolute reference, or also the partial reference is enough. Let's use the partial reference. So I protect the row address of this cell and the row address of this one. So this is the final formula. And then I drag down the formula to apply it to the whole column. As you can see, okay, these values are changing each time I do something because the function rand is producing a new number each time I do something. Okay, that's all for this exercise. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay, I first save this file.